Shalom, Yahweh Tazah, this video is edifying for the hopeful elect out there. All right, before I get into it, I want to give our honor, glory, and praises to the Heavenly Father above and the Lashon Kodash, which is the Holy Hebrew tongue, by saying, Call, Halalayim, La Yahweh, Alahaynawa, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Al-Shai, Ba'ashem, Ha, Rakakadash, Ma'amah. Double honor to the elders, apostles of Great Millstone, who rule well and teach well. I want to give another double honors to my elder as well, of the Lions Den Camp of Yasha Allah, out of Jacksonville, Florida. Peace and blessings to all the men, women, and children that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of this earth. All right, now, today we'll be talking about how our God, all right, being Yahweh Ba'ashem Al-Shai, it's a jealous power. All right, the Father being Yahweh, the Son being Yahweh Shai. All right, and this is Exodus 34:14. It says, For thou shalt worship no other God, for the Lord whose name is jealous is a jealous power. All right, so when we look into the stories, for example, all right, Deuteronomy the 29th chapter, going into the covenant that he made with our forefathers and the people that make up those generations today, it's going to go into detail about how he's a jealous power. All right, so this is Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 1. It says, These are the terms of the covenant, the Lord, and the covenant meaning, we can actually just click into that word covenant, all right, which means a alliance, a pledge, basically like a contract, an agreement, all right, so a promise, so to speak. All right, it says a compact, covenant, alliance, pledge, treaty, alliance, constitution, ordinance, monarch, the subjects, agreement, pledge. All right, so this is something that our people was supposed to keep during the times of this covenant. All right, now these are the terms of the covenant the Lord commanded Moses to make with the Israelites, all right, the Most High chosen people, all right, while they were in the land of Moab, in addition to the covenant he made with them at Mount Sinai, all right. He gave Moses the covenant at Mount Sinai. Moses reviews the covenant, and Moses summoned all the Israelites and said to them, Ye have seen with your own eyes everything the Lord did in the land of Egypt to Pharaoh, right? During the time of our captivity in the land of Egypt, Yahweh Ba'ashem Al-Shai sent many plagues. Actually, we can get it, all right, in the book of Psalms, the 78th chapter. Bear with me one sec. So, let's see, verse 10, it says, They did not keep Yahweh Ba'ashem Al-Shai's covenant and refused to live by his instructions. They forgot what he had done, the great wonders he had showed them, the miracles he did for their ancestors on the plain of Zoan in the land of Egypt, where he divided the sea and led them through, making water stand up like walls, right? When the Israelites was trying to be, in the process of being captured or overtaken by their enemies, Yahweh Ba'ashem Al-Shai led the Israelites, all right, through that sea, all right, and allowed the sea to swallow up their enemies, all right. That's what he done for his chosen people. Those were the part of the signs, wonders, and miracles that he would deliver, protect, and keep his covenant, so to speak. It says, For he divided the sea and led them through, making the water stand up like walls. In the daytime, he led them by a cloud, and all night by a pillar of fire, right? Those chariots, all right. He split open the rocks in the wilderness to get them water. As from a gushing spring, he made streams pour out the rock, making the waters flow down like a river. Yet they kept on sinning against him, rebelling against the Most High in the desert, right? Our people was, they was being wicked. They was transgressing his word. They was going off, right? It says they stubbornly tested Yahweh in their hearts, demanding foods they crave. They even spoke against Yahweh himself, saying, God can't give us food in the wilderness, right? Yes, he can strike a rock so water gushes out, but he can't give his people bread and meat. When the Lord heard them, he was furious. The fire of his wrath burnt against Jacob. Yes, his anger rose against Israel, for they did not believe Yahweh or trust him to care for them. But he commanded the skies to open. He opened the doors of heaven. He rained down manna for them to eat. He gave them bread from heaven. They ate the food of angels. Yahweh gave them all they could hold. He released the east wind in the heavens and guided the south wind by his mighty power. He rained down meat as thick as dust, birds as plentiful as the sand on the seashore. He caused the birds to fall within their camp and all around their tents. The people ate their fill. He gave them what they craved. But before they satisfied their craving, while the meat was yet in their mouths, the anger of Yahweh Ba'ashem Al-Shai, or the anger of Yahweh rose against them, and he killed their strongest men. He struck down the finest of Israel's young men. But in spite of this, the people kept sinning. Despite his wonders, they refused to trust him. So he ended their lives in failure, their years in terror. When Yahweh began killing them, they finally sought him. They repented and took Yahweh seriously. Then they remembered that Yahweh was their rock, that Yahweh Most High was their redeemer. But all they gave him was lip service. They lied to him with their tongues. Their heart was not loyal to him. They did not keep his covenant. Yet he was merciful and forgave their sins and did not destroy them all. Many times he held back his anger and did not unleash his fury. Right? The Lord's being merciful to the Israelites, man. Even though they was going off, they was being wicked, they was transgressing, all right? Then he started making himself known in the presence amongst them, all right, by putting some of them to death, to let them know that, you know, he ought not to be played with, man. You know, he's an austere power, all right? So, for he remembered that they were merely mortal, gone like a breath of wind that never returns, all right? Oh, how often, verse 40, they rebelled against him in the wilderness and grieved his heart in that dry wasteland. Again and again they tested Yahweh's patience and provoked the Holy One of Israel. They did not remember his power and how he rescued them from their enemies. They did not remember his miraculous signs in Egypt, his wonders on the plain of Zoan, for he turned the rivers into blood so no one could drink from the streams. He sent vast swarms of flies to consume them and hordes of frogs to ruin them. He gave their crops to caterpillars. Their harvest was consumed by locusts. He destroyed their grapevines with hail and shattered their sycamore figs with sleet. He abandoned their cattle to the hail, their livestock to bolts of lightning. He loosed on them his fierce anger, all his fury, rage, and hostility. He dispatched against them a band of destroying angels. He turned his anger against them. He did not spare the Egyptians' lives, but ravished them with the plague. All right. He killed the oldest son in each Egyptian family, the flower of youth throughout the land of Egypt, right? Because those Egyptians, all right, they did not want us to go and serve our power, Yahweh. All right, they tried to keep us in bondage, all right, under their rulership, just like you have today, modern day Pharaoh being Esau, Edom, in this captivity, all right, still not trying to let, you know, the Lord's people go, even though he have stolen the Lord's people, his precious jewels. All right, he touched the apple of the Lord's eye, putting them in slavery and captivity, and done many heinous crimes against his people. All right, caused them, you know, to transgress and be wicked. All right, and then try to accuse them to the face right before the, you know, try to persecute them and accuse them of being wicked when they're the wicked and they're allowing all this wickedness to go on. All right, they make laws to protect the wicked, you know, but. You know, not to mention, you know, just having that that abominable rulership, man, taking place, just like during the time of Pharaoh. All right, it says, but he led his own people like a flock of sheep, guiding them safely through the wilderness. He kept them safe so they were not afraid, but the sea covered their enemies. He brought them to the border of his holy land, to the land of hills he had won for them. He drove out the nations before them. He gave them their inheritance by lot. He settled the tribes of Israel into their homes, but they kept testing and rebelling against Yahweh Most High. They did not obey his laws. They turned back and were as faceless as their parents. They were as undependable as a cricket bow. They angered Yahweh by building shrines to other gods. They made him jealous with their idols, right? You know, the same thing going on today. Got idolatry. Our people worshiping other gods, wood and stone. All right. When Yahweh heard them, he was very angry, and he completely rejected Israel. Then he abandoned his dwelling at Shiloh, the tabernacle where he had lived among the people. He allowed the ark of his might to be captured. He surrendered his glory into enemies' hands, right? Israel's the Lord's glory. He gave his people over to be butchered by the sword because he was so angry with his own people, his special possession. The young men were killed by fire. Their young women died before singing their wedding songs. Their priests were slaughtered, and their widows could not mourn their deaths. Then the Lord rose up as though waking from sleep, like a warrior aroused from a drunken stupor. All right, he routed his enemies and sent them to eternal shame. All right. And the same thing that he's going to do today. All right, he's going to awake like a mighty man out of sleep. All right, and bring vengeance and destruction all upon this place, America, known as Babylon in the scriptures. All right, and deliver his Israelites once again, his chosen, his special possession, his chosen people, to be delivered from their enemies. All right, which is, part of his covenant, man. All right, but this is just a lesson learned for our people, to not, to know that it is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the Most High Power. All right, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahawashi. All right, and that we should, be seeking to continue to do the things that's pleasing to him, because look at what happened to the ones that didn't, how they kept rebelling, how they kept testing the Most High, how they kept being wicked, going against his word, transgressing, all right, making a covenant with the heathen, all right, following these other nations. The same thing going on today with 2/3 of our people, which why they won't receive the honor in the kingdom to come for their wicked deeds in this life, So let's get back in the book of Deuteronomy. All right. So verse, what was I at? Let's start back at verse 2. Moses summoned all the Israelites and said to them, you have seen with your own eyes everything the Lord did in the land of Egypt, right? Everything that I just read in Psalm 7:8, to Pharaoh and to all his servants and to his whole country, all the great tests of strength, the miraculous signs and amazing wonders. But to this day, the Lord has not given you minds that understand, nor eyes that see, nor ears that hear. For 40 years I led you through the wilderness, yet your clothes and sandals did not wear out. You ate no bread and drank no wine or other alcoholic drink, but he gave you food, so you will know that he is the Lord your God, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahawashi. All right, Yahweh, when we came here, King Sihon of Heshbon and King Og of Bashan came out to fight against us, but we defeated them. We took their land and gave it to the tribes of Reuben and Gad and to the half tribe of Manasseh as their grant of land. Therefore, obey the terms of this covenant so that you will prosper in everything you do. All of you tribal leaders, elders, officers, all the men of Israel are standing today in the presence of the Lord your God. Your little ones and your wives are with you, as well as the foreigners living among you who chop your wood and carry your water. You are standing here today to enter into the covenant of the Lord your God. The Lord is making his covenant, including the curses. By entering into the covenant today, he will establish you as his people and confirm that he is your God, just as he promised you and as he swore unto your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But you are not the only ones with whom I'm making this covenant with his curses, right? That covenant continues on to the third and fourth generation, all the way up until the day, all right, that our people that exists of the Lord's people today being the Israelites. All right. It says, I am making this covenant both with you who stand here today in the presence of the Lord our God, and also with the future generations who are not standing here today. You remember how we lived in the land of Egypt and how we traveled through the lands of enemy nations as we left. You have seen that detestable practice, right? Their worships, all right? Their abominable works, all right? And their idols made of wood, stone, silver, and gold. I am making this covenant with you so that no one among you, no man, woman, clan, or tribe will turn away from the Lord our God to worship these gods of other nations, and so that no root among you bears bitter and poisonous fruit, right? Because the Lord, according to Jeremiah, the book of Jeremiah, either 11 or 16, all right, he likened us to a olive tree. All right, let's see. Let's get it real quick. I don't want to butcher it. Let me see, Jeremiah 16. Yeah, Jeremiah 11:16. I, the Lord, once called them a thriving olive tree, beautiful to see and full of good fruit. But now I have sent the fear of their enemies to burn them with fire, leaving them charred and broke. Right, we was full of good fruit by our works, keeping the law, statutes, commandments to the best of our ability. All right, which is our wisdom in the sight of those nations, which set us apart. All right, that's why we was that thriving olive tree. All right, leading many to righteousness, But the Lord made this covenant with his people to keep, so they continue being that thriving olive tree, bearing good fruit, all right, doing, rich and good works and seeking the kingdom, all right, and receiving blessings, by doing so. Verse 19, those who hear the warnings of this curse should not congratulate themselves, thinking I am safe, even though I am following the desires of my own stubborn heart. This will lead to utter ruin. The Lord will never pardon such people. Instead, his anger and jealousy will burn against them. All the curses written in his book will come down on them, and the Lord will erase their names from under heaven. The Lord will separate them from all the tribes of Israel to pour out on them all the curses of the covenant recorded in his book of instruction. Then the generations to come, both your own descendants and the foreigners who come from distant lands, will see the devastation of the land and the diseases the Lord inflicts on it. They will exclaim, the whole land is devastated by sulfur and salt. All right, basically, brimstone, all right, and fire. It is a wasteland with nothing planted and nothing growing, not even a blade of grass. It is like the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Remember, he threw that place, all right, with fire and brimstone, overthrew it, all right. It is like the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah and Zeboim, which the Lord destroyed in his intense anger. And all the surrounding nations will ask, why has the Lord done this to this land? Why was he so angry? And the answer will be, this happened because the people of the Lord abandoned the covenant that the Lord, the God of their ancestors, made with them when he brought them out of the land of Egypt. Instead, they turned away to serve and worship gods that had not known before, gods that were not from the Lord. That is why the Lord's anger has burnt against his land, and bringing down on it every curse recorded in his book. In great anger and fury, the Lord uprooted his people from the land and banished them to another land where they still live today. The Lord our God has secrets known to no one. We are not accountable for them, but we and our children are accountable forever for all that he has revealed to us, so that we may obey all the terms of these instructions. All right. So that's why, once again, people must not go out here and worship other gods, moving the most out of wrath. All right. Worshiping wood and stone, these idols, having any idol set up before them. All right. That we may, not have these curses fall upon our people, where their names be written out of heaven, from under heaven, man, out of the book of life, All right. So that's one more scripture. If my phone will stop giving me such a hard time. But basically, Deuteronomy 6:5, and you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. All right. And Deuteronomy 7:9, understand therefore that the Lord your God is indeed Yahweh. He is the faithful power who keeps his covenant for 1,000 generations and lavishes his unfailing love on those who love him and obey his commands. Actually, yeah, I can just keep, that's self-explanatory. Verse 12, you listen to these regulations and faithfully obey them, the Lord your God will keep his covenant of unfailing love with you, as he promised with an oath to your ancestors. All right. So You know, that's that mercy that the Lord is going to continue to show. All right, he's going to multiply and bless those people that do so wherever they are at. All right, that's trying to worship him in truth and sincerity, because now is the hour where the true worshipers should worship the Father in spirit and in truth. You know, so Yahweh Tazal Video said his purpose. Till the next time, we'll say shalom.